Hey, what's going on? It is a midweek drop, so that means an episode of the Empty Quiver with Aaron Snyder. Aron and I tricked Jake Downs into joining us, and just a good BS session. We're all over the plate, no pun intended. Heck, we were even talking about Ruffles potato chips here, so good time. And Jake is just taking off for a brown bear hunt, so looking forward to getting him back on and hearing how that goes. I'm sure he'll have a story. Yeah. Well, let's thank the sponsors and get on out of here. Selway Archery, the Footed Shaft, Kifaru International, and of course Blackwidow bows. Support those that support us. And yeah, have a great week. Roger out.
We asked what 5 times 40 is to see if your score was close to that.
Well, that joke's on you. It was 20 targets, so.
Well, there you go.
Wait a minute, I'm digging my calculator out.
yeah. Hold on. That's why you want to, if you're ever going to keep score, do with guys that shoot good. They start throwing 5s and 8s in there. Just everything else like that. Math gets difficult on odd numbers.
Yeah, say that's pretty generous, giving me 5s, all 5s. That's some misses in there.
Dude, Luke came over tonight, and I was trying to get him to shoot a back tension. He's got target. He literally, like their poltergeist is inside, like an exorcist. He's like, you gave me target panic. I'm like, I didn't give you shit. You had it. I just gave you the tool that shows how bad it is. And he's like, I don't have it with the trigger. And I'm like, well, that's because you punched the shit out of the trigger.
Oh, yeah.
Comical.
So what are we talking about tonight?
We talked about it the other day, and I forgot. What was it?
It wasn't metal risers. It was it instinctive shooting? Was it? We already talked about that with Cody. But
The paper plate.
Paper plates. They come in lots of different sizes.
Jake, what would you say when somebody says, "Hey, when do I know I'm good enough to go out hunting? What should my group look like?" What is the general info you give them? Like, what's the advice?
8 ring. I don't know. Nobody asked me that.
Would you say a paper plate, at 20 and 30 is good enough to go out hunting?
I would, honestly. I mean, if you're trying to get to
I'm in agreement with you.
Yeah, I don't.
Go ahead.
You go, Rob.
No, I want to hear. Paper plates come in lots of different sizes. You have the dessert size. You have the really cheap ones, and then you get the really big expensive ones. So what are we talking about, Jake?
I'm looking at one right now because I'm eating 2 sandwiches on one. And I'm a cheap ass, so it's kind of small. I don't know, 10 inches, maybe 9.
Yeah, so that's kind of been thrown out there as, good enough for decades. But you don't quit at that point, right? You don't say, "Oh, I don't need to practice anymore."
I think tonight a paper plate would have been awesome. I think I'm getting my pre-hunt yips or whatever you want to call them. Sometimes I get in my head and before a hunt. So
what hunt are you going on?
Going to Alaska after brown bears.
Oh crap! You know what? Trent Wingard was just over picking up some scent, and he said, "Oh yeah, Jake's going brown bear hunting." I had no idea.
Geez, that just shows you how much you pay attention to me, Rob.
You know what? That's how much I've paid attention.
I thought we were friends.
That's what I've paid to social media the last 3 weeks. That's how much.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Who are you going?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
What's that?
Where and who?
Well, everybody asks me where. I don't exactly know where. I'd have to look at. It's Jonah Stewart is who it is.
Oh,
He hunts kind of up just northwest of Anchorage, I think. It's a fly-in hunt. Harold, Aaron's buddy, is going to actually be my guide, it sounds like. So,
nice.
Yeah, it should be an adventure. But every time before a hunt, the beginning of this week, I was shooting no shit. Oh, sorry. You had to edit me out, man.
No worries.
Yeah, I was shooting lights out, and then the last few days. But I know better. Like, at this point, I know that it's just me getting in my head, and I just got to stop worrying about the last shot and start focusing on.
Let's not talk anymore and hit and record, because this is good shit. Because we're going to talk about the paper plate and target panic and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, we've been recording.
I was going to say, I thought we were recording. I've already got some gold nuggets in here, guys. If you're not recording, I don't have much left.
So go ahead.
Oh no, I just had Tourette's. It was Tourette's.
I think that the question was posed to me by Rob and a few other people. But I think a comment that someone else made about, since when did a paper plate become the standard for accuracy? And I think the way that I replied was, that's not the standard, that's just your goal, and to get going, and then you want to, shrink it down from there. It's just, when somebody asks me, like, when do I know when I'm ready to go hunting, it's a pretty broad question. And I'll say, well, man, you want to at least be able to hit a paper plate. Now, I don't say, I want you to hit a paper plate and stop practicing for the rest of your life because you've achieved every goal that you've ever needed to hit in your entire lifespan. I just say, man, once you hit a paper plate, you should be okay. But you want to get better after that. And so I don't know that the paper plate is the standard for accuracy. I just think that's the starting point, to get somewhere where you're like, okay, you're making progress. Everybody knows what a paper plate looks like. It's about 9 inches across, 8 inches. It's about the size of the lung on a deer. I mean, it just fits the bill, right? So you don't, what are you going to say? Hey, you want to be, 2/3 the size of a watermelon. Now that doesn't make any sense. Just say paper plate. It makes simpler.
Well,
but I would say, go ahead.
No, I was that analogy started before there was 3D targets. I mean, let's face it. When were we ever able to, envision lungs? 25, 30 years ago, we didn't have 3D targets. Paper plate. I mean, it was.
It's funny, after you asked me about this, I asked my mom about when I got my first bow. And a parent that's not into archery, what do you grab? A paper plate. That's what she grabbed to shoot at. So, I mean, and that was an 88. So, I agree with you, man.
Yeah, like you say, I'm kind of like, if people ask me, I'm just like, how many times are you in the 8 ring at least? How many times on a 3D target are you at least hitting the 8 ring? And some of them are bigger than a paper plate, and some of them are not in the right spot. But I don't actually shoot anything but 3Ds usually. So especially if I'm preparing for a hunt, I try to shoot the animal that I'm shooting, like a bear or a deer or whatever, just to get that sight picture. But yeah, I mean, the paper plate works.
Yeah, the first time I ever heard somebody question it, I think, Aaron, we were doing a live with Cody. Yeah, we were doing a live with Cody, and it showed up in the comments as we were rolling along, and somebody said, whoever said that was the standard or that was the goal or something. And it just took me by surprise. I just looked at it, and I think I responded like, nobody said it was what you strive for. It was just, kind of like trail marker or something.
Like
I forget what yeah, well, it was like, nobody said that that's your goal. It was just kind of, just show a new guy like, well, this is about the size of so, and then all of a sudden somebody's questioning it like, well, why is that the standard? Yeah, that's what it was. Who made that the standard? It was like, well, maybe somebody in the 70s said, hey, son, this is the size of a set of lungs on a whitetail. So it took me by surprise.
Well, and I don't, Rob, you were a grunt, and the 18th Airborne Corps standard for a 12-miler is 3 hours. Well, it's not like we all strolled in at 2:59:59. We wanted to be better than 3 hours, but that was the goal, right? That was what you wanted to be at least back in 3 hours because you didn't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
But that's not to say you couldn't wear a badge of honor in 2:30. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's the minimum.
I don't know that it's a minimum. I don't know, and that it should be an issue. And I bring it up all the time. Paper plate at 80. Well, everybody knows what a paper plate looks like, so it's an easy designation or easy sign. But I think that man, there's a lot of different things. Like I was talking to Dean at Three Rivers today about the different riser lengths and different limbs and limb lengths and and I'm like, because I like a 17-inch riser on that Satori, and the DOS riser I have 17 inches, and I like that and long limbs. And one man's trash, another man's treasure. One man's chips, another man's gold. That may not be the preferred riser length for a lot of people, but I'm backpacking. I like the sight window. I like the weight, and whatever. And, Jake, you shoot a 62-inch bow. Rob, you're what, 58, 60?
58, yeah, but I'm a short guy.
But who am I to tell you, even if you're a short guy, to shoot on a different riser if that's what you're comfortable with? I think what, really needs to happen is the option of information and the option of what works, and then let people, figure it out. And I know, all of us, I'm sure mean well when we're giving out info, but it does get, confusing for a lot of people. And I know you and Jake are pretty well, that's what I shoot, and may not be the best person to ask, but this is just what I like. And it's great info. I mean, blueprinted off. All right, Rob's 5. What are you? Drop 5'9", 5'10"?
5'8".
That's what I meant. 5'8". I was helping you out. Jake, what are you? 6 foot?
Yeah, somewhere right around there. 6.
5'10". I'm maybe 5'10".
As far as just the blueprint, but as far as accuracy goes, there's some pretty standard things that you really don't want to default from in accuracy, I don't think. But there's other things that are kind of, a little bit variable. Whether it be, there's 10 other guys that shoot 19-inch risers, and then there's 10 other guys that shoot 21s, and then there's 10 dudes like me that shoot 17. When you start writing certain things as the gospel, I think is where you get in trouble. So the paper plate's not gospel. That's your minimum. And same with bow setups or, clickers is another thing. You don't have to shoot a clicker. A lot of guys don't. A lot of guys do. Some guys like Jake, it's off and on. For me, I'm working with it, getting it off there. But if it helps you become a better shooter, or the bow helps you become more accurate, I mean, we're just all trying to get some general info out there. And occasionally people seem to want to start a ruckus on certain things, but I am kind of enamored sometimes. It's the gospel that is tried to be written by some, and it's weird for me.
Well, it's honestly, it took me a bit by surprise, because it was, when the paper plate thing started, we didn't have a whole bunch of information, right? So is it the standard? No. Is it a measuring stick? Sure, it can be. I mean, You were probably the same way as me, Aaron. You didn't have crap. I mean, a bale of hay was, yeah. I mean, I don't remember where I got the bale of hay, but I remember it was a big damn deal when I got a bale of hay. Seriously, man. It was down by the chicken coop.
From Farmer Fran, probably.
Yeah,
from the neighbor.
You sound like my old man.
Well, no. I mean,
my dad he'd charge me for that bale of hay. You got to pay for yours?
I'm sure I did. I don't remember where I got it, but no. My point was, and we put a paper plate on it, and I shot the shit out of the paper plate, and I had a wooden tree stand that I just built with some 2x4s in the tree, and I remember getting. So my point is, that paper plate's been around for a long time. Is it the pinnacle of success? No, nobody said it was. So maybe it even made me laugh how this became an issue.
Well, think about it. Somebody asked me it on a private message, and the day before I was shooting arrows in half at 38 to 44 yards. Obviously, I didn't stop at shooting a paper plate. I tried to go better. But my goal in the beginning was to hit a paper plate. That was where I started. So I and when I say that, I didn't shoot, you know what I mean? I was just videoing, and I try to show people what I'm capable of and what others are with, work hard, and we all shoot and show people, and we're not doing it as a bragging thing. You're doing it as a, hey, if you work at it, you can get to where you can be super efficient, at that. And, the same goes through a second ago, so we don't beat the paper plate horse to death. Jake was talking about pre-hunt target panic or getting the jitters and, all those things, we all have to deal with. I mean, I don't, talking about target panic, thank God I haven't had, don't get me wrong, I get a little exorcism every now and again, but for the most part, I haven't had to deal with it. But I would imagine, Jake, I know you said you dealt with it. Rob, I mean, we talked the other day about were you a snap shooter or not?
Yeah.
And, Rob, I mean, we got three demographics on here, really. Jake, what are you, 33?
Yep, 2. I'm 32. Holy.
32? Holy shit.
Christ on his throne. So
I almost lost a whole year. Yeah, 32.
You know what? It doesn't matter
really
when you're 32.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I look older than both of you guys. I don't have any of my hair, so.
What?
You are bald as a baby's ass on top, I must say.
You're damn right I am.
Do you bick
Proud
it?
of it.
Do you bick it?
What's that?
Do you bick it? Do you take it right down?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I don't shave it clean off, but it's right down to the nubs.
So
right
do you do a comb over? Do you do?
I don't
skullet, Rob, is what it's called. It's a skullet.
A skullet, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, this COVID, I didn't get a haircut for like a month and a half, and I finally got one, so.
Did you look like that black dude, Eddie Murphy, when he was playing all those different guys on the Nutty Professor?
Yeah, that's pretty spot on, actually.
I actually just watched that. I just watched that when he's sitting around the table. They're talking. Yeah, that was good stuff.
Yeah.
How did we get on hair?
But, with 3 decades, I don't know. We should probably get off there. But with a couple decades between the three of us, when like when I started, obviously I had Tom Klum Sr. in his coaching and like his methodology, and I followed the majority of that. And Jake, I think you kind of started on your own and just winged it, and obviously have done pretty damn good. And Rob, you got going in a time where really
Asbel.
kind of the the snap shooting was the preferred method, and all of them will work. It's just I would say, Jake, can you correct me if I'm wrong? I'd say somewhere between 16 and 22 yards, you're probably going to whoop up on me for the most part. And we're probably fairly even between 22 and 27. And then from 27 to 40, I'm probably going to whoop up on you overall on an average. Would you say that's probably true?
100%, yeah.
And Rob, I'm in shot with you, and one of the reasons I'd say that that's the case is I focus so much on those distances and working on, you know, the NTS system, work, you know, my point on, and not as much on you know, on instinctive shooting. Well, now it's a little different. I work on it constantly on instinctive shooting. You know, so that's kind of the path I walked, where Jake kind of talked about how you got going and when you put a clicker on, and did you get target panic, and then, you know, Rob, maybe go on it after that, because we got three different generations here.
Yeah, well, it's kind of crazy because it is like Rob. Well, and I don't know. I'm not gonna say Rob's a snap shooter, but you kind of said you are, Rob, right? I mean,
yeah, yep, yeah.
Okay, and then Aron is not, and I'm like right in the middle. I snap shoot, and then sometimes I used to snap shoot a lot more, and then I decided to put the clicker on, and some days I think I might have ruined my life. I don't know. Does
that have anything to do with archery?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, like Luke, I didn't know I had target panic until I put the clicker on, and then I was like, "Holy God, what is going on?" I guess now, when I started, all I had was Fred Bear and Fred Eichler, and that's how I learned how to shoot. I was just kind of watching them. That's why I have that gangster lean that Aron has, because Fred Eichler leans over like that. Maybe not as far as I do now. Maybe I've navigated more towards Aron. I don't know. Shooting with him.
You need to preface that, because people think you copied me, but the reality was you had the gangster lean far long before I did. I just might have made it worse.
I've had a lot of people be like, "Oh, you got the Snyder lean down," and I'm like, "Hey now."
Yeah.
Man.
I don't mind that. I don't mind people thinking I'm caught. Like, everybody thinks I'm the biggest Snyderite in the world, which I am, because I literally everything I wear, everything I have, pretty much comes out of his closet. Like, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll bring you 30 shirts." So what, you know, it's like, I don't care if you.
That's like saying Garth Brooks invented country music.
That is a very good analogy, because I get a kick out of it, because I know, obviously, as we all grow together, you know, I'm all about that. So when people are like, "Oh, I see Jake's got the Snyder lean," I'm like, you do realize Jake has been shooting a stick bow significantly longer than I have. Has he? And I'm like, just because I'm, you know, quote unquote more known or famous doesn't mean I invented stick bows. I said, hell yes, he started long before I did. I'm like, God. It's just how life works in the, you know, in the industry or whatever. But yeah, I mean, those guys all kind of lean too. So.
Yeah, that's how I started. Is watching Fred and kind of just following those guys. So I kind of snap shoot, but I kind of anchor in, and I try to point on, and it's a disaster. I can make it work when I'm not focused. I got to be focused away from the bow. It's really hard to explain. The thing that gives me the worst target panic, or the worst, basically anything, is when I start focusing on form, which most people probably should not listen to this. It's not good advice. But for me, biggest thing I do is I start thinking about my back and my elbow behind. If I start thinking behind me, the clicker or my finish, my follow through, everything you're supposed to do, you know, finish strong. I don't know, my paper plate becomes one of those huge paper plates that you have when the family comes over, you know, those oval ones that you can fit like a deer leg on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like
potato
the
salad.
Thanksgiving, the fine china for Thanksgiving that I, you know, when the family comes over.
And you got the oval horizontal because the form is trash, right? It's disaster. You're throwing your arms, so your left and right's bad.
Yep. Actually, for me, my oval goes the other way. I'm up and down.
Really?
I'm usually not left and right. It's weird. If I'm going to wound something, I'm either going to shoot it through the brisket or right in the back. Almost always.
I can vouch.
Yeah.
I can vouch for that. Jake does not miss left and right very often.
Which is weird because I don't. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. This is all good stuff. Go ahead.
Well, what's weird about that is I have a pretty inconsistent draw if I don't, if I'm not using my clicker. I would assume I'm not, I've never actually had anybody really film it, watch it, whatever, but, I'll short draw now and then and hit right where I'm looking. My front arm has figured out that my back arm doesn't know what the hell it's doing. So it fixes the problem, I guess. But
I fully believe that. I buy that 110%. That happened to me big time in the 90s, late 90s. I was shooting a Triple Crown, the Northwest Triple Crown, and I was on fire. And I didn't know it. I couldn't miss. I went to the last two legs of the Triple Crown and I could not miss. I fell behind in the first leg, and then the last two legs I was on fire, and I was short drawn. And I didn't really. I knew I was, but it didn't matter. I was hitting everything. And then it was not weeks after that, it fell apart, and it took me like a year to come back from. Didn't realize I was short drawn. Yeah, nobody knew to say anything. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really important because you really want to think about like your issues. Everybody's got, different ones, and I've hunted enough with Jake to know killing is not an issue. But he's got other issues just like myself. I don't have a bow arm issue. My bow arm saves me. I don't have any head maneuvering issues or things like that. But I can't, which can be considered an issue, and I definitely have some issues coming away from my, my face with my release. But I kind of adapt, and like Jake said, I've seen it happen. Jake is better. He's one of those rare few that's better if he's not thinking about anything, specifically the things he should be thinking about, right? And that's where everybody's mind's different. Actually, still thinking about, but Jake, some people's minds, when you talk about a closed loop or the clicker, it can become a click to collapse, a click to pluck, a click to whatever, right? And it's better off to have them maybe practice at 5 yards with a clicker where they're not susceptible to that movement and things, so they're just executing the right draw length and the right form, and then yank that bad boy off. While they're shooting, everybody's kind of got their own, mold or whatever. You got own ingredients in their own cake. Where Rob, like you were talking about, you're more of a snap shooter. So putting a clicker on your bow, which it sounds like you've done, that was probably an exercise in frustration for a little while, wasn't it?
It was super helpful. But it didn't take long to start to give me target panic. So it showed me some flaws. I would classify myself as a snap shooter, but I will say that I have slowed down my process considerably over the last, 4 or 5 months. It feels really good. But when I started, I don't think I had Asbel's book. I just had a bow, and I'd been shooting compound, and that didn't work out for me. I just had a recurve, and I started shooting. And I think a few years after that, I got Asbel's book. But it was I couldn't even tell you. I'm sure I never heard of face walking at the time, and I kind of doubt I heard much about gap shooting. So it was really all there was. But, once I got Asbell's book and it kind of like put some of the pieces together, like back tension, I was pretty fortunate. I feel like I got good form. I mean, as far as using my back, but it wasn't.
From what I've seen, I don't think you collapsed a whole lot or anything, which is a huge problem.
Yeah. So I'm pretty fortunate to have good hand-eye coordination. I know it might slip in another 10 years. I don't know. But it worked for me. I would never shoot at a deer. I can say over 25 yards now. I never know distances. I just know deer have damn small lungs. Pie plate's small as far as I'm concerned. Past 25 yards. That's just me. That's how I shoot. I know my limitations. But elk 30, 33 yards, something like that. I mean, it's a different target. It's different size. It's my methodology and my restraint has served me well through the years. But there's so much good information right now. Like Tom Clum's online class that with the push there, the solid archery mechanics, that's helped me out with my back tension, with my elbow. I did have a little elbow height. It helped me out with head positioning. I mean, we're leaps and bounds beyond where we were 25 years ago, and it's all good. But to chastise but to chastise the paper plate was like, come on, guys. I mean, this is what we had. It's like nobody said it was a standard. It was a.
Who am I to say I wasn't shooting a stick bow 25 years ago? But I think the accuracy portion of it is all good. I don't think there's anything wrong with being more accurate. So definitely don't want to be taken out of context there. But I think that there's certain teaching techniques for everyone, and if there's some people that can't handle drinking out of a fire hose, and their issue, they may have target panic because of form. And so I really try to focus on form for guys. And if they have target panic, to put them 5 feet from the target. So movement and all the different things that go along with farther distances, stress, tension, what's going on in your mind kind of fade away because they're not there. Get the form going and then focus on some of the other, issues. And,
let me ask you this, Aaron. So many people put up, and it's good. It's a good thing. So you get a lot of people putting up pictures of themselves shooting some video. Hey, how does this look? Right. They're asking to be critiqued. At what point are people like so, and this is a legit question. I'm not like trying to paint anybody into a corner here, but at what point is somebody thinking so much about their form that it's going to give them target panic?
Oh, I say pretty frequently. And this was something I got into a conversation about with the other day with a guy that's getting some coaching from someone else. And, and there's all this stuff, most of this stuff the other guy teaches is very good, but sometimes when you're drinking through a fire hose, it causes target panic. When you're thinking about the form or the click or whatever, the end goal for, that specific coach is definitely to, be able to master all of that. The problem is all minds work differently. And a very good example is you see people walking building edges, right? And you're like, that guy's crazy. Or walking across the log with a river below you. Let's say you put and this is target panic. This is how life works. If you now put something that wide, 6 inches over pavement, you're falling 6 inches, you're probably going to walk across that thing just fine. Put a 4-story drop, a river below it, you now have walking target panic. You have talked yourself out. Fear. Well, yeah, I'm not a coach, so I try not to talk about this stuff too much, but I do feel that I can shoot and understand how it works. That is walking target panic. But and I'm no different. I mean, I can say right now, Jake and I are looking at a log. I'm like, you want to go? You want to flip for it? I don't want to go. But, hell, I'm going to push him out of the way if it's over pavement because I don't give a shit. I'm going to fall 6 inches and get back on it. But there are repercussions when you are shooting long distance. There's repercussions when you're going to fall and die. There's repercussions when you're shooting 40 yards compared to 5 feet. You're taking those repercussions out of the equation. When you shoot 5 feet, your mind is at ease and you can focus on form rather than focusing on form and clickers and in loop, closed loop and open loop and where's your pin and all this other shit. And that's a lot what I think with you, Jake, is you get that clicker off there, you're just focused on hitting the target. Sometimes when that clicker gets on there, you start focusing on the clicker. And it's easy to say, well, we just need to work on that. Well, I should stop eating fucking cookies too, but I can't. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what I try to explain to guys is like, and this guy specifically. Go ahead.
So I've thought a lot about this lately because this last year I've never used a clicker up till this past season, and so it made me a better shot in the backyard. I mean, it helped a lot, you know, like not to bring up that shoot where I got lucky and stroked that one at 45 yards somehow and took the gold from you.
I think it was dude, if it was 45, I would have won. I think it was 50. I shot it for 45. What's the problem? Yeah, it was out there.
It was out there. That clicker helped me with that shot because I wasn't worried about anything. I was focused on target. I was like, as soon as this thing clicks, but I wasn't thinking about the click. I was just like, I'm just going to get to the clicker and focus on the shot. And that's how you're supposed to do it. Not thinking about, oh, you got to pull harder, pull whatever. I don't know. But in the same aspect, I went elk hunting and had an elk in front of me. And all I could think about was, what if that elk moves right when I think that click's going to go off? I'm thinking about this clicker and I'm thinking about that elk moving. And I'm just looking at him. So I'm not even focused in, and I missed by a mile. So, which I should have. It was a slam dunk shot. It was a done deal, and that was when I decided to rip that thing off when I was hunting because for me, my brain doesn't work that way. I don't think anybody's like. I've heard a lot of people say your brain can only focus on one thing. So in the moment, when I'm got an elk in front of me or a whatever in front of me, I got to be focused on where I want to hit that animal, and that's it. But so it actually works really good for me to practice a bunch with the clicker, make sure I'm getting good shots and pulling through. And then when I take that thing off, usually for about 3 or 4 days, I'm almost better without it. And then it does what it did tonight, it started about yesterday, but it just starts tapering off, and I got to put it back on, or, you know, some of those bad habits start coming back in. So, yeah, everybody's mind is different.
You know, Jake, though, the way you and I shoot, I mean, you're an instinctive shooter too, right? Is what I'm hearing. So the way you and I shoot, to me, for me, 110% of my concentration needs to be exactly where I want that arrow to go. So, you know, going back to when somebody was saying that muscle memory was wrong. That's how I shoot. And I imagine that's how you shoot. You can't be thinking about, oh, I got to anchor. I got to make sure my head is in this position and all that. All of my focus needs to be exactly where it goes. And that's why I'm just not going to shoot a great 300 round. I mean, to try to keep that level of concentration shot after shot is super difficult.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. And go ahead, Aaron.
No, I think all this is really good, and I'm only going off I did a Q&A yesterday, and Christ on a cracker. I shit you not, I bet there's 300 questions on traditional archery form alone, and clickers and whatnot. And I think the thing that I try to explain to people, like when there's an animal in front of you, right, is I don't know how many people actually can focus you know, I guess what I'm saying is when I get an animal in front of me, I give a shit if that thing clicks or not. As long as I keep good tension and break a clean shot, that is my goal. If the clicker helps me get to that, whether it clicks or not, I really don't care. I don't focus on that clicker when I'm hunting. I'm just focused on keeping tension because that's where things go, you know, south for me. So, you know, with all the things that happen with an animal in front of you, I would say probably collapsing would be at the top of the list for epic mess ups, right? It's collapsing with an animal in front of you. Well, kind of with that grip clicker, that's one of the things that does is it's a goal to get it to click and keep tension. I've seen, you know, Jake lay waste on a ton of animals to where is Jake collapsing? No, he's not collapsing. Is he keeping good tension? It sure seems like it, right? And so at the moment of truth, Jake's a very unique individual. He doesn't have those issues that other people have. By no means am I saying Jake or myself never screw up, but that's your goal, right? And when you start drinking through the fire hose of clickers and in closed loop and open loop, a lot of those things help people. Clickers have saved a lot of careers. And from what I've seen, there's nothing bad about them. It's going to help you shoot good. But again, if you're drinking through a fire hose, I think it's a recipe to get target panic when you get too much crap going on in your mind.
Yeah, you know, and I don't want anybody to be misled. I'm not advocating for my form of shooting. Probably just the opposite. I mean, it's there's such good to start over again. I mean, you watch some of these people that just picked up the recurve or longbow because of you, Aaron. Just, you know, so I'm talking the last couple of years, and you see how dang good they're shooting. It's like, holy smokes. You know, I'm not advocating at all for just purely instinctive shooting. It's what I do, and it works. And tell me, who is the most successful, you know, like super slam guys that shoot gap and stuff? I mean, you know, who's out there that shoots the high tech methods?
Man, I can't mention any names, but I know two of the guys that have them can't shoot for shit.
I'm not following you.
I mean, literally.
You're saying two guys that have super slams that can't shoot for crap. Gotcha.
I mean, like literally, if I was going to pick one of them to shoot at me, pick somebody to shoot me at 20 yards, he'd be one, and he's killed them all, right? So I don't know that super slam. A lot of that has to do with you know, money. No different than the position I'm in. I'm going to kill more stuff than other guys because I get to hunt a lot. But if you break down, like, you know, truly guys that are super successful that follow that NCS system, there's not as many that I know of that compared to guys that are shooting, you know, and I don't know everyone by any means, compared to guys that are shooting more like you and Jake, that and what that will look like in 10 years.
Yes,
I have no idea.
Yeah,
that's
the key.
I don't know, but
that's the key.
But what it, like right now, I do know that good shooters are becoming good much quicker than they used to.
Yeah. Where does Randy and Denny fall in? They're gappers, aren't they? Is Denny? Denny gappers?
Face walk clickers. Denny face walks.
They have no allegiance.
Shoots, you know, both. You know what they say, and I agree with them, is what does everybody have against hitting what they're aiming at? Which, I mean, think about it. If I shot with you for a year, if we lived by each other, I'd say two things are going to happen. I'm going to get a lot better at shooting close up because I don't like losing, and you're going to get a lot better at shooting far away because you don't like losing. Would you say that probably happen?
For sure.
And would you say you'd probably start gap shooting farther away, and I'd probably shoot more instinctive close up? Because I just shot with Tom Senior the other day, and about target 10, I'm like, Tom, you're never going to beat me if you don't start gap shooting. He's like, I know, man, I know. And I'm like, this is not a bragging thing by any stretch of the meaning. This was Tom, you come out here, you're one of the best instinctive shooters around. Guy's unbelievable. but we shoot from the compound stakes, and I can judge yardage well, and you're just gripping and ripping, hoping for the best. I don't care how good you are. If I judged it at 37, my point on is 35, and I know that I put the bottom of my insert at the top of the 10, and I'm going to drop in there, and you're just drawing back and shooting, you're not going to beat me. And that skill level being equal. I have a more precise method of shooting.
Yeah.
Now that's targets, obviously foam, but now let's take it on the other side of things. Any three of us are stalking in to a mule deer, and that mule deer gets up and you got to take a quick shot. Well, I'm out of the ball game for the top three anymore. Now I'm just hoping for the best. You two are going to be out front in that. So you can't poo-poo on any of them because they all have their time and place and space.
Yeah, well, I think, honestly, I think the accuracy is way better now with the gap shooting. And I think the reason that guys like Aron and Denny and Randy are successful in the field is they've learned to not, like Aron was talking about, that's not the gospel. He's not going to, like, if you don't hit the clicker, you're not shooting. You're going to kill that animal. You're going to, yeah, exactly. You're going to you're going to probably hit your clicker more often than me. And it's not going to bug you thinking, oh, this clicker is going to go off at the wrong time and I'm going to, shoot and whatever. So you figured out how to use that clicker in the way. And I think some of these newer guys will have to get there. They'll have to get in the field and get that. That's how I've gotten to where I am as far as shooting animals. I've learned over the years with a lot of trigger time, this is what works on an animal. I've got to kind of focus on the animal and just let it happen. And for Aron, he doesn't focus completely on his form and everything's got to be perfect for that arrow to actually go where he's just gonna. That animal takes a step, he's ripping it off. And I think that's one thing that the newer crowd, yes, they are better than we were or I was, whatever. When I started out, they are better at shooting foam. But I feel like, and I'm not saying everybody will struggle, but at first it'll be a struggle, like it is for everybody, to take that to the field. Because it is different when that animal reacts, moves, is doing this. You're waiting for that animal to put his leg forward. And if you go into, all right, now I'm pulling, now I'm transferring, or whatever, and you're going through all the steps in your head, and then that animal takes another step, and now his leg's back. I think some people might struggle with that. Maybe not. I do. I struggle with it. If I can shoot foam great with a clicker most days. But yeah, if any of that made sense.
Man, it made very good sense. And I mean, that's one thing that when people comment, especially with a tirade about I've been doing this and, I'm fine with this and this is what I do and whatever. Well, why do you listen to me? If you're successful, whatever I said is null and void. You've written your book, you've baked your cake, you've made your muffins, you've got your stuff, you're doing your thing. Who am I to, give you advice? Like, I'm just trying to, I mean, it can't be denied that it's going to be quicker to gap shoot and be accurate than it would be instinctive shooting. If your brain is built for one more than the other, you're naturally going to flow that way. I didn't become a gap shooter because someone told me. I became a gap shooter because think about it. Tom Plum is not a gap shooter. That's my Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? That's my guy. Well, he was teaching me to instinctive shoot, and I'm thinking, I got this point out here, and it's really sticking towards the target an awful lot when I'm shooting. I'm going to start using this son of a gun for an aiming method. And that's how I started to gap shoot. Tom didn't teach me how. He mentioned it a few times how it works. that is just what I led to. And I think certain people will cater more to, I mean, Rob, if you started shooting today, you might cater to instinctive shooting anyway. You know, everybody's kind of going to have what they flow to, I think, more than others. Or one, what they're going to have one a method they like more than they do others, and they'll go that way. Like, I'm never going to face walk. It's just not my thing. I tried it. I don't like it. That doesn't mean that, who am I to say that face walking doesn't work? It's just not my method.
Yeah, I don't know. It was, you know, I don't know who would ever teach you. Well, I guess Tom Klum was teaching you instinctive shooting. Yeah, it's kind of a thing of the past for sure.
Well, I always tell everybody asks me. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I was just going to say, people ask me, if somebody's starting out, they ask me what they should do. The first thing I tell them is shoot 3 under, get a coach, talk to Tom, or get his archery mechanics, and learn how to gap shoot. I tell people to do exact opposite of what I do, because literally it took me like quite a few years to become proficient the way that I do it. And that was just because back then when I started, that's what was, I have Randy and Denny are going to not like this. I have their, what's their videos?
Traditional Vision Quest. Yeah.
Yeah. The what's the one where they teach you how to shoot? It's called something. Masters of the Barebow. Is that theirs?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one of those.
Your memory's bad, Jake.
I know, man. Yeah.
He's going to have to start writing memoirs.
32 going on 80. Well, the reason I don't know it is because I've literally watched it a bunch of times, but I've only watched like 2 guys out of the 10 they put on there. Because as soon as they put someone on there and he said something about this is rocket science or this is gap shooting or whatever, I was just like, nope. And so yeah, I mean, I don't know where I was going with that, but I guess what I was trying to say is back then, that's what I had. I had Fred Eichler, I had Fred Bear, and I watched them, and they're just gripping and ripping for the most part. But now, if I was starting over, I'd do it just like Aron did. I would, and I tell almost everybody to do that. So.
How old are you?
Me?
No. 32?
Me?
Yeah.
Who has a bad memory now?
I'm trying to make a point. Fred Bear and Fred Eichler.
About it. Jeez.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Well, you know, while we're bringing up Fred Bear, as we're, you know, well, kind of round the horn of all things, right? Like, you know, right now, and a guy sent me I'm probably going to get bashed for this, an email, who was an older gentleman that was one of the kindest, coolest emails I'd seen. And he talked about Jake and you know, what you're doing and the push, and the guys from basically the White Brothers, the Rockhouse Motion guys.
Oh, yeah.
And multiple others, and that they kind of did a comparison, right, of all these different shooters of over the years, right? You know, there's people taking the place of the past shooters. If I'm making any sense to this, meaning, you know, Jake fit one guy's description. The White Brothers were the Winsels. The guy compared me to Paul Schaefer, which I was very humbled by that, and so on and so forth. All these different people, and not saying we're as good or the same, but at least, and you know, this guy was 86 years old and typed up this email. That there was people to carry on this tradition, which made me think about it. You know, and I was very humbled by the email. But you think about it, Schaefer shot Baines, right? Schaefer shot an elevated rest. You know, Fred Bear, you can hear him multiple times say, you know, to be within recurve range, be within 50 yards. Shit, if I say that tomorrow, I'm going to get hung in the courtyard and stoned to death. 50 yards. But the father of modern bow hunting said it, but I can't, right? And then, the push guys, like they go like full rip potato chip on in the Cody with the push. How many people shaved off their 5-inch feathers because Cody said to do it? Christ, hundreds, because Cody said it's better. How would they have known, right? Half of them still can't hit a stop sign. But Cody's, everybody's very impressionable. There's a lot of people very impressionable. And then, Jake, you're still shooting what? 3 5-inch or 4 4-inch?
4 trad vanes.
4. There you go. See, Jake upgraded. He went from 15 to 16 inches of vein, right? And how much of a difference does it make? Well, I'll put Jake against anybody in a killing competition, and I'm not shitting compound or trad bow. But Jake, technically, you suck because you got 4 4-inch trad vanes instead of 3.
I know.
But that's what Jake's comfortable with, and why would he switch, Rob? You're snap shooting ish, whatever, and not poke fun, but I mean you've got your method.
Yeah.
How big was that bull you killed last year?
Yeah, 320. I mean, I'm having fun doing what I'm doing. It just amazes me how many people get worked up. Yeah, I just have fun doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's kind of what my whole rant was about. Was there's. I have these jack wagons that get on and say clickers are the crossbow of traditional archery, right?
You got to send me some of these. I got to see this.
And I'm like, all right, whatever, but what's better? Having the crossbow of traditional archery on your limb or wounding and missing a bunch of shit? I don't know. Maybe a clicker's not that bad, right? And do I want to have a clicker on there? No, and I'm working towards pulling it off. And when I'm on, man, I'm way better without a clicker, but it keeps you honest. And I'm going back and forth now. Jake and I talk about that stuff all the time. If throwing a stabilizer weight on your bow makes you feel better, is it trad? Is it not? I don't know. Who really cares? Let's just have fun and not stress over it too much. And broadheads, FOC. It's like, I think we should all talk about it, but no one should get butthurt over any of this stuff unless it's just straight up unethical, because if we all have our opinions and our opinions are voiced and they're voiced appropriately and kindly, to help others, I think all that's great. But I mean, Jake and I are different in a lot of different ways, the way we hunt. And Jake, have we ever argued about anything with traditional archery?
No.
Yeah, and I don't see that happening. And
no.
Jake used the clicker sometimes he doesn't. Jake shoots a different bow than I do. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of different things that, Jake doesn't gap shoot, right? And I'm going to bring a big hunt together, and we got a lot more hunts together. Do we make fun of each other occasionally? Yeah. But
yeah,
we don't ever fight over these different scenarios. And Jake, when we shot that tournament, I will say Jake did beat me. But
Ooh.
I would say the number one reason you beat me wasn't the last shot. It was the fact that the course was set up how it was. And explain that so people understand what I'm saying. How was that course set up?
It was trad stakes is what, you know what I mean? I mean, it's 15 to 25 yards and most of the shots are averaging 18 and 20 is my guess. And there was some shorter ones, but hey, you had yeah. Don't get me wrong. I shot pretty well that day and you shot pretty well that day, but there was definitely some give and take from your end, cause like you say, if we were shooting, if all of those shots were in that 35 to 50, I'd be screwed. Like I can definitely pull that off. And if I just stand back what's up? Yeah, you go.
I think I stopped you about 10 targets into it and said, Jake, you got a real good chance of winning after I shot about 5 in a row in the 8-5 above the 10 ring. Cause I'm like, Jesus, these are close. And I think you beat me by 2 the first round. and I beat you by 2 the second, or vice versa. And what I'm bringing this up for is Jake a better shot than me? I would say Jake is a better shot than me at certain applications, and there's other applications I'm better than him. All are applicable to hunting. And who am I to say Jake is doing anything wrong? Whether he never beats me again or beats me every time, it's working for him. And so when people get wrapped up about certain things, I'm just like, guys, we're all trying to make everybody better. Like, there's no reason to get butthurt over this. Other than if you just accepted the fact you're going to suck, that kind of bothers me. You do want to practice, obviously, and get better. But.
Hey, Jake, tell me you saved your scorecard and grabbed Aron's. You're a fool.
No, I had a great picture. Amy was snapping, like, they made us do a shoot off at 50 some yards or whatever it was, 48, 50 yards. I got all these people behind me and I'm shooting against Aron. I'll be honest with you. I was like, well, I'm going to lose, but I'm just going to shoot the best arrow I can. And I wasn't even that nervous. And he shot and hit low, a little bit low, and mine was right. I mean, as soon as it hit the target, as soon as it hit the target, I turned around. It was just like that face was my face. I'm sure it was just like, oh, that was lucky. Right? I wasn't.
You didn't turn around and look at him and say, right in the ding ding, Snyder.
Well, believe me, when we shot, it was one of those smaller Reinhardt block targets. And if I remember right, I was cutting the circle of the circle in the square, right? Like, and I thought, oh, that's not bad. And I was like maybe 2 inches left. So overall with the stick bow, 50 yards or so. I said, honestly, Dale told me it was 53. And I think I shot it was far, man. When they put it out there, I was like, holy shit, we don't have wheels on our bow, for Christ's sake. That's way out there.
It's a par 2.
So I whatever it was, I judged it, and I put my bottom of my insert on the top of my target, and my point on at that time was 41 yards. So it was 40 something. I don't, whatever it was, and Jake got up there and executed a good shot. And right when the arrow left, I'm like, oh shit, that's going to be close. And he hit the target. I'm like, that's off the center. I want Jake to win. I don't want to lose, but I want Jake to shoot as good as he possibly can, because I want to beat him when we both shoot good, not when he has a bad. And it's all about everybody getting better. And the bottom line is I get messages all the time being jokes. If there was a competition between Jake and I of laying down animals, who would win? And I can't honestly say I would win. I would say I wouldn't want to be the guy betting on that.
There'd be a lot of dead. There'd be a lot of dead stuff laying around. I think. I think it's because you and I are both be able to block out all the noise in the background when an animal's in front of you and just focus on the shot and not worry about clickers and all the other stuff. But I don't know, when animals come in, there's guys that say you want to have a mantra. There's a lot of different methodology or theories on this. What are you thinking when an animal comes in, Rob? Were you thinking anything?
Holy shit, there's a critter.
You don't have a lot. You're thinking what any hunter probably says.
No. Seriously, this has served me well. And it's seriously, when I'm getting ready for a shot, it's almost audible. I kind of chuckle to myself just to settle myself down. I'm like, hey, here we go. And just kind of like make a little joke to myself, and just focused on what I want to hit. Not to say that it always works, but it serves me well. That's just what I do. Once I decide it's on, I just kind of try to relax and put it where it goes, put it where it needs to go. It's not flashy and it's not sexy. That's just what I do.
I like it.
Well, and I think it's two things. When the animals, coming in, I have a thing in my mind I say over and over. And then once I go to full draw, I truly, I just think pull, which is probably why I overdraw sometimes. But, I'm just thinking keep tension. For the most part, when I got time, a little bit different in other scenarios. But, I like this year, although Jake's kind of getting crapped on tags. Jake, what else tags we got? I got a couple antelope and, I think two mule deer and a whitetail and several whitetail. We got a bunch of different tags coming up, and in none of those hunts am I reinventing the wheel with what I'm doing with my setup. I'm doing what I'm doing, and that's one thing, Jake. You don't really ever change anything either. I mean, you just do what you do from what I've seen.
Yeah, I don't. I get I get one setup working perfectly, and then I get a duplicate of that and just as many arrows as I can get. And I don't change. Yeah, I don't change all year. And I haven't changed in almost 2 years now. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, it does kind of need to be an extension of the body and, be comfortable with what you got. And even I just set up new arrows on one of my bows, and it's a little bit lighter. Well, it's lighter poundage, 57 pounds, while the other one's 63, but they hit the same. So, that one arrow gets there a little bit faster, but overall, I'm my point honored. I set them up identical so I wouldn't run into the rigmarole of getting screwed up by my point on or my gap or my cast and whatever, because when you get going with this and you get in a rhythm and you can throw a major monkey wrench. If a guy's shooting, let's say, 225 up front and whatever setup, and all of a sudden reads an article and throws 325 up front, more than most likely the first animal he shoots at, he's going to probably shoot low because he's going to revert back to what he's been doing for the last year or two, I think, from what I've seen. And so getting consistent and finding a good setup that you like, I think is pretty dang important.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's fun to oogle at other bows and stuff, but you see guys that just tear through bows, right? Every other week they're posting, or every other month they're posting a new bow. How the heck do you ever get used to, one bow and get it shooting good when you're changing like monthly? I don't know.
Honestly, so I just got a new my backup Bob Lee, exact specs, exact everything, and I got it all set up with like a bear claw on it. It's all set up to go shoot a bear, and I'm gonna take it, but it's not gonna be my main bow because I haven't used it enough. I haven't shot anything with it here. And when I shoot it, it feels about the same, but it's not the same. And I think a bow needs shot in my opinion, at least for me. When I get a new bow, I have to put about, I don't know how many arrows through, a couple weeks worth of arrows before that becomes molded to me. I don't know about you guys, but even the exact same bow, the exact same specs, for me, I have to shoot it in. So if you're getting a whole new bow with new grip and new everything, that would be tough for me.
Yeah.
No, me as well. And believe me, I've been screwing around with bows way too much anyway. But you do it gets confusing.
What is your setup, Jake? What do you got going up to Alaska with you?
Shooting the Bob Lee. I think this one's it's just a micarta, full micarta riser. I'm like Aaron, I like a 17-inch riser, or at least I'm trying it out this year. I tried 19 last year, and then this year I'm going to try a 17 with the longer limbs. I feel like it's a little more forgiving. I may be full of it, but and then running the mountain muffler string on it, and Great Northern quiver. I like the wrap quiver. Everybody always makes fun of me for using one of those. I think they're made for like one piece longbows, but I like them because that rubber wrap, it really helps dampen the bow. Not that these need much dampening; they're super quiet. But yeah, that setup, and it's 54 pounds at my draw. Well, it's actually probably closer to 55 at my draw length, 28 and a half, 28 and a quarter. And I mean, that's what I've shot my buffalo, and I mean that poundage anyways.
What are you slinging for arrows?
I'm rocking the Day 6 350s with a Day 6 Evo XL on the front, and then the 4-inch vanes, and I've got nocturnals on there. I'm not 100% sold on them just yet, but I don't know. Sometimes I think it's just me. They're not hitting exact how I want them to, but I figured it'd be nice to. I'm guessing it'll be a low light situation. We're sitting all night. I mean, I know it's light pretty much all the time up there, but you get in the trees or whatever.
You get that twilight.
Yeah, usually it's low light when I've ever been, the little limited bear hunting I've done. So I figured it'd be nice for recollection on shooting with the nocturnal. But yeah, that's pretty much my setup. And me and Aaron have been talking because he's been, working with these aluminum risers, which I'll be honest with you, if I hadn't found this Bob Lee, I'd be shooting an aluminum riser because I just had so many wood risers give me fits. I mean, people don't, a lot of my bowyer friends tell me to stop saying that, but that micarta riser's almost indestructible, and it's heavy mass weight, which I used to be the guy that was like, no, I don't want a heavy bow. I want something light, which that's the heavier. I mean, you don't want to go overboard, but the heavier mass weight definitely helps with stability and forgiveness. And I've switched to an elevated rest too. And just by sheer almost accident, the way that Rob cuts his windows, he cuts them so far past center. Now, it's not like crazy past center. I think he's over 3/16, almost a quarter. So with honestly, I've kind of looked at it, and with the small diameter shafts, the diameter of them, I'm almost perfectly center shot with my setup. And with that rest, with that little fishing line rest, I don't get any contact. And I shoot split fingers, so I've always had trouble with putting a little extra mustard on the arrow, I guess, when I let it go. I've never had any problems with it, but tuning up close or with bare shafts was really off the shelf, was not working. I was getting contact, but now that I'm shooting off the rest, I don't know. I don't think I could find a better setup for me as far as forgiveness. And, I mean, it's pretty bulletproof. I mean, the limbs can, they're pretty stout limbs, but they are pretty much the only, them and the string, obviously. And I always have an extra string, and I always have extra limbs. So it's pretty bulletproof so far. Did you guys fall asleep?
Negative,
No.
Ghost Rider. Edge of my seat.
Edge of your seat. Yeah, I'm sitting
straight
here looking at my bow, so that's why I went so far into it. But I really do. I've been thinking about, honestly, right now there's going to be a push for aluminum risers. With Aaron shooting one, and the push guys doing their thing with aluminum risers or whatever. There's definitely going to be a swing that way, and it don't bother me at all. I mean, I think, honestly, what people will ask me is they're like, if they're thinking about aluminum riser, I'm like, yeah, man, it's cheaper. But, honestly, if you want, you don't get as much adjustability out of, like, with Aaron being able to use his rest to tune and fine tune. You're not you're close, but you're not quite there with putting a rest on that Bob Lee, but it's pretty close. It's as close to a aluminum bow as you can get, I think, without actually going aluminum. So I don't know. I just don't like wood. I've had too many wood risers crack on me. Almost every one I've owned, actually. So.
Really?
I concur with. My name's Aaron Snyder, and I approve that message. I have not had the best luck with that either. And I don't. I don't care what anybody, shoots. I just, the tunability of that rest and everything, and was a big part of it. I liked that, and then I knew I couldn't hurt the riser, and I knew the limbs. I'm shooting anti-trad carbon bamboo limbs, the Hoyt Velos, and I don't care what anybody shoots. I don't get too wrapped up around that. That's just something I tried, and I'm shooting it good. I've shot the highest scores I've ever, shot, and groups and everything else, and I can micro team.
Are you eating chips?
I didn't think you'd be able to hear it.
Holy crap!
Oh, it's loud as shit. Yeah.
Is it really?
This is brought to you
I'm
by
standing on the other side of the
Frito-Lay.
room. Damn. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten. I came home from league night, and you guys were ready to rock and roll.
That's why
I guess when you start doing more podcasts, you'll learn to hit that mute button when you're stuffing your face or peeing. I've gotten good at it.
That's a good idea.
That's
I don't even see a mute button on here.
I ask somebody a question and then hit mute, and then that way I know they'll at least be talking enough for me to jam my face with food.
That's funny. I was going to tell you guys that I got some food here. So
that is one of the funniest things that have happened podcasting to me. Aaron's talking. It's just this.
I was literally I'm 12 feet away from my phone.
You got a damn good.
I got my
microphone.
earphones in.
Or chew with your mouth closed.
Oh yeah, my wife would concur with that. I don't chew with my mouth closed. Sometimes she just looks at me and is like, "What are you doing? You got nuts and bolts in there? What are you eating?" Yeah, I'm not. It's not good.
Hey, this is a good conversation.
Sorry, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done eating. Well, I'm not done eating. Aaron, those were kale chips. Just so you know. No, I'm just kidding. They weren't. They were full fat chips.
Ruffles.
Yeah, they actually were. Yeah. We don't usually keep chips in the house, but there's supposed to be a party. I think my wife's throwing a party because I'm leaving. I don't know. So there's chips. And I grabbed some.
This podcast brought to you by Ruffles.
Yeah, Frito-Lay.
Yep, Ruffles.
Sorry, Aaron. Go on.
No, I was good. I was actually happy you were chewing because it was funny. I have nothing to say to that. No, I think with the different, whatever that's stirring up more crap, like the trad vein or the fake wood or aluminum, riser and different things like that. There's nothing wrong with wood bows. They're awesome. They're unbelievable looking, but there's also nothing wrong with a aluminum riser or phenolic or G10 or micarta. It's just what floats your boat. I mean, there's definitely, I got a camo spray paint job on mine, right? I mean, it's not like I picked out 4 woods and overlays and shit, right? I grabbed some stencils and spray painted it like I did my M4. For me, it's about function and in what's going to stand the test of time and work for what I'm, doing, whether that be like my Widow with, phenolic riser or when I had a Bob Lee and I had the same type of a deal or the Hoyt, I just want something that's going to take some serious abuse. And I had a wood riser Widow and man, it's beautiful, but man, I went on 2 hunts with it. It's not the Widow's fault. Jesus, I felt bad for the bow. It just took abuse in the cliffs and shit and falling down. And I had South bow. I went down a cliff I killed that mule deer with, and it wasn't worth $2. It looked like I skateboarded down it. Nothing wrong with the bow. I mean, it's a beautiful bow, but I was like, man, I just hated seeing that happen to it. So like the next bow South built me was a, fake wood, right? It was phenolic or G10 or whatever the hell he built it out of. So it's more of a personal preference for me. And Cody Greenwood, he goes a little full rip potato chip, like hanging stabilizers off and shit. And I don't really understand that. I don't think he would do it again, personally. And they shoot a lot of crazy setups. Like I got to try some of those Uka limbs soon. They're kind of weird with the let off or whatever. And I guess what I'm mumbling about here is personal preference. I'm not telling anybody, what to shoot. Like, guys want to order a custom wood bow, I'm all for it. Like, go ahead. It's just not what I prefer, nor, Jake doesn't either, I guess, because durability wise.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about functionality for me. Honestly, people are like, oh, are you even trad? They ask me all the time. I'm like, I'm honestly not. I like shooting a recurve because I've done it for so long. I feel like if I can get close to an animal, I got a better chance of killing it with that than a compound. I suck with a compound. I'm not good. This last turkey I killed with a compound was a fiasco. I don't know. It was only at like 30 yards. I don't even know where I hit him. The arrow didn't have much for blood on it. Anyway, I had to maim him to death. You can cut that out if you need to, Rob. But I honestly feel like in my hands, if I can get to 25 yards, if I think if I'm hunting, if I'm out on the prairie hunting antelope, I don't really necessarily want my recurve in my hand. But if I'm in the woods hunting elk or, in the sandhills stalking deer, and I know I can get within 25 yards of a deer, I feel like I'm better with my stick just because I've done it for so long. So I'm really not looking for to be the stick bow guy or traditional. I'm looking for the most forgiving setup that's so simple that even I can't screw it up. Honestly, that's what I'm looking for, simplicity, because that's who I am. It's got to be like, all right, arrow go through animal and it die. Like, that's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. Nothing else. If I got to start thinking beyond that, I'm screwed.
It's not like you're eating some kind of fancy potato chip, right? It's just Ruffles. That's who you are.
I'm telling you, man. And they're Walmart brand. They ain't even the good brand. So I'm high living over here.
Oh, there's definitely some trans fat and some kind of a seed oil in that shit. It's not going to be good.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
It's better if you eat a bunch of them. Bottom line is,
don't read the label.
If I had to summarize it, Jake, you and I have been shooting stick bows for a while, right? Aron gets into it, sees how fun it is, sees a challenge. There's this whole massive wave that he's bringing into this. And really the message, I think, coming out of this tonight is like, just shoot what you want.
Yep. 100%.
Get proficient, keep working at it, shoot what you want, have fun, and, just get out there and just do your thing.
Well, yeah. And the best thing is you, well, just like Aron, the best thing is you can always progress. Like, don't do, like you said, don't just, pie plate, I'm done. Now I'm ready to kill stuff. Like, always try to be working on yourself and learning some of the stuff.
By the way, I don't know anyone like that. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, me neither.
No one like that hit the pie plate. Not in, out. Sorry about that.
Yeah, not in traditional archery. I'll be honest, in compound archery, I think a lot of people do that. But in traditional archery, as soon as you get in, you get addicted and you just shoot a bunch because it's so much fun to shoot.
Oh, if it was a pie plate and done, I wouldn't get so many questions.
Right. Yeah. No. you're always wanting to strive to be better. And I didn't mean by compound gets to a pie plate and they just, shoot until they're proficient, which doesn't take as long, depending on how far you want to shoot, and hang it up and go out and kill stuff, which
it is. Go ahead.
Oh, I wasn't saying anything. Sorry.
Oh no, it is. It's weird picking up the compound recently and setting some up to do some reviews and everything. Like, I don't know. I was with Amy, and about halfway through the course, I was like, man, I forgot what it's like to hit everything I'm aiming at inside of 80 yards. Like, literally. I'm like, oh, that elk's 86. Dong. Oh, that coyote's 52. Dong. For me, it's different because I'd say inside of 30, I'm probably more lethal with the stick bow. But, for me, it's definitely not about it. I use that weapon as a crutch as much as I'll eat crow from saying that. Like, believe me, we get to 60 yards on a bedded deer. The stock has stopped. Bombs are being dropped. I'm shooting it from right where we're at. We're not getting any closer, and no one's going to talk me into it because I'll hit it from there where I just am addicted to that stick bow, and it makes me get, closer. I think that a lot of people, everyone's different, and I think a lot of people, though, especially if you're super stealthy and you're into that kind of a thing, I think the stick bow is going to make them happier. And whatever that is, I agree with what Ron said. And just shoot what makes you happy and shut up. Like, there's no reason.
Yeah.
You want to shoot 3 5-inch veins, rub some funk on it, clicker, no clicker, elevated rest. I mean, with all the crises we have going on in the world right now, is it that big of a deal if somebody puts on a springy rest or somebody shoots off the shelf? I don't think so, right? We got the city's burning down. Is it worth bitching online about a springy rest or off the shelf or whatever? It's pretty crazy, the infighting at times.
Well said. Mic drop. This episode was brought to you by Dixie Paper Plates and Ruffles Potato Chips.
Hey, can we, before I forget, one, people stop pestering me. I'm not switching over to the compound. I'm just doing it for bow reviews. 2, can we talk about the tournaments upcoming before we forget with all of our memory stuff?
Heck yeah.
Oh, yeah, I already forgot. Oh, man. God.
What do you got?
You go, Aaron.
Go ahead, Jake. You go. Oh, okay. Well, the big one, which is not a sanctioned shoot, is Luke had the bright idea of a tournament, which I agreed with, was we're going to have 6 or 7 compound guys and then 6 or 7 stick bow guys. And a stick bow guy gets paired with a compound guy, and that's the team. There'll be $100 entry per person, winner take all. So somebody's walking home with $1,200 or $1,400. Jake's coming down, Blake Hunter's coming, South's coming, Phil Mendoza, Tom Klum. We're going to video the whole thing. There will be lots of shit talking. That is not a tournament for everyone to attend. We're having it up in Wyoming. Don't try to come bother us. It'll be a hoot. But the more important shoots are the one Jake's got coming up in Nebraska. Jake, you want to talk about that one?
Yeah. Are we good on the date? You
so.
think I would already know that? Okay. All right. Well, we're going to do, last year we did, the Nebraska Traditional Archers came out here and they set up 20 targets, and archery club that I'm in charge of, we set up 20, and that went pretty good. Aaron brought some prizes out, and we had some decent attendance. But I think this year what we're going to try to do is make it even bigger. We got another group that's joined us. So we're actually going to have 3 legs set up. So we'll have 60 targets. One of them is going to be an extreme course. We've even discussed doing like a 3-arrow type scoring. Like, I don't know if you guys familiar with that. They do that at High Country Shoot in Colorado, which I guess has been canceled. And anyway, so we're gonna have some fun stuff. It's July 18th and 19th, and I think Aron's coming. So far, I've been told Tom Clum is gonna come, and also maybe Self. So, and it is not strictly a traditional shoot. So anybody can come. There'll be lots of cool giveaways. I know Corey, is it Ingert? Is that how you say his last? He's from Nebraska. I've met him a billion times, but I don't know. It's Heartland Bowyer.
Name rings it. Yeah.
He just sent me a bow. Yeah, he just sent me a bow. That's
and I know,
badass.
Yeah, and I know Tom's been shooting his bow a little bit, and he's a cool dude. He's donating a bow, and I don't remember the specs on it. I'll try to post something up about it or whatever, have Aron do it. But there'll be some bow giveaways. And
can't believe you can't remember the specs.
Oh, man. I looked at it like 3 hours ago. That's way out. It's gone. It's out of my mind.
Will that start on Friday or Saturday, Jake?
It'll start on Saturday. We'll set up the targets Friday. So it'll be a Saturday and Sunday shoot. I don't know. It depends on how many prizes I can con out of people and things that I can take out of my man cave here to give away. But we're going to have hopefully some cool prizes, and then possibly some cash giveaways depending on what, with the attendance and what we do. But should be fun.
Cool. Right on. Brain fart. You guys got a website where that's on?
No, Panhandle Archers on Facebook is what our club, and I'll be posting it on. Mostly, I post it on my personal Instagram and Facebook, and then Nebraska Traditional Archers. That's the main one to probably follow. They're on Instagram and Facebook, and they got a pretty sweet setup. I mean, you can do. I don't know if they'll probably set up. I got to talk to Vince. He's the president, but they'll probably set up like pre-registration possibly on the website, and then they have a card reader. So, you can, when you come to the shoot, you can actually use your credit card, because us kids don't carry cash anymore. I carry checks, so I'm really old, but yeah, I mean, it should be a good time. What?
You carry checks? You're not that dude that writes out a check in the grocery line waiting with everybody backed up, are you?
Next time we're shopping for stuff, I'm going to write a check, and I'm going to split my order up. I'm going to be like, this half is for this half is on this card, and this half is a check, and I'm just going to do it to mess with you. But, yeah,
I will say the last time I saw a check written was in like Hayes, Kansas, and this lady, probably 60, broke it out, filled out the whole, the balance of checkbook thing in the back and all that. I was like, I'm in Kansas. Nothing wrong with that. I never did it. I'm not adult enough.
I carry a checkbook, and I almost strictly use credit card, but sometimes they don't take credit cards. I just don't carry cash because I burn through cash like I'm some rich guy. I mean, I don't know. If there's cash in my wallet, it's like, ooh, I guess chips. I should. But yeah, I'll get the good ones. I'll get Lay's instead of the great value.
You got the big contractor checkbook though. The big binder flops out there.
That's what oh yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
I know you're tight. Cool, man. Well, we'd be remiss in mentioning that giveaway because it's got an aluminum riser. Aron, what riser are you giving away there?
It's a DOS DeLaw 17-inch, and then I've got a set of Samick limbs that go with it, carbon limbs, and I have some other man cave type stuff giving away. And if you've seen my man cave, there's a lot in there. So
there's a whole bunch of crap. We got not crap. We got a whole bunch of stuff. Selway and Push and a whole bunch of people throwing in. So that's cool. Appreciate it. That's going to be June 18th. We're going to draw the name, and just anybody listening, beware, because I've already pulled some names, just kind of checking, and very few people followed everybody that says, I've just grab a name and check, and not following who you're supposed to be following. You're going to miss out. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah. Well, this is good conversation, man. I'm sure somebody will get butthurt over it. I say that with the
they won't message. They'll message you guys, not me. I don't get much for hate mail.
They don't message me. They message Aaron and Cody, I think.
Yeah, I usually get one dumb one a week now, so that's not too bad. You figure you got 400,000 people following you. If I only get one a week, I consider that a victory. It's not.
Well, you remember
usually though. Go ahead.
No, you remember a couple of weeks ago, I just did that walk down where I shot 40, 30, 20, 10, and I shot low, I actually shot low on like the 20. But anyways, I pointed the arrow and I said, oh, I must have shot that for 38 or something. That was a joke that I would say at any shoot, no matter who was there. And apparently I heard through the grapevine that some people were offended by it, thought I was making fun of gap shooters. Like, really? So you sit around on Instagram looking to be offended. Holy crap.
Yeah. People's feelers are pretty sensitive these days. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I think overall it's good to see every community growing and people getting into it more and more. I thought it'd slow down, but I just talking with even with the aluminum riser thing, I know between the 4 different companies I deal with, I think they sold 37 Satori's last week or something. So obviously it's going well considering the world. Kind of like the roof Korean. I'll be like the Snyder roof guy with my recurve flinging arrows at the attack.
Hey, on a serious note, did you guys see, I don't know if it made the national news. Did you guys see what went on in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho a few nights ago with all the people?
No.
Buddy, it was wall-to-wall citizens packing AR-15s, any long gun. There was guns all over the street. Everybody just standing like, you want to riot in this town. It was unbelievable. It should have been on national news.
Yeah, you don't want to mess around in Coeur d'Alene. And can I coin the phrase roof cracker? Is that bad?
Oh,
can I be a roof cracker?
Right on. Yeah, we might lead with that. This thing's going to get flagged on Instagram and Twitter. It'll be my claim to fame. Time we got flagged. All right, we better wrap it up. Hey, good conversation, guys. And Jake, good luck up in Alaska. And why don't you come back on the show and tell us about your hunt?
Sounds good, man.
And on. And take notes for Christ's sake so you don't forget.
Oh, I'll be off by days. But I'll tell you right now, the day that I kill one, if I do, it's going to be dead set in my mind.
Perfect.
Solid.
Perfect. Take lots of pictures then. You can say, yeah, I remember this picture.
Yeah.
My mind
is Tuesday.
Slipping.
No, it was Wednesday. No, because it's 24 hours a day. It was Tuesday. Well, anyway, we got on the plane. Well, no, it was a truck, actually.
I don't pay that close attention. Unless there's something to die, I'm just enjoying it.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
You got to smell the roses. Who cares what day it
is? I don't know, but every time you're on a podcast and they want you to remember something, I get on just like people watching because I'm like, I just want to hear what Jake has to say because I've been around you enough now. Like when it's exciting, you remember, but when the lull phase, you'd be like, it's a 54-pound. No, it's a Palmer. No, maybe I wasn't shooting a Palmer. Anyway, so and then it's awesome.
It's not a steel trap up here, boys. There's just too much in there. It's just
there you go. It's because you're an electrician.
It's kicking out the mundane. Yeah.
You gotta know all that stuff.
That's what I tell my inspector too. I'm just like, man, I don't have room for all that info. I just got to focus on what I'm doing right now.
What's the black one do again?
Yeah. All I got to pay attention to is making sure these don't touch.
All right, we're gonna get in trouble.
Oh, cool. All right, I'm ready.
All right,
I'm
guys.
good. I'm going to bed.
All right. Later.
Out.